Sometimes when you're starting a project and you have a drum library that's built into Garageband or Ableton, the drum sounds might sound okay, but when you compare them to another track that's online, that's commercial, they tend to sound pretty weak. Grabbing them off the internet will help you focus more on the music instead of fixing those sounds to make them sound better. What Soundflower lets you do is record anything that's coming out of your computer speakers. So what that means is we could grab any song that we find on YouTube and record it using Soundflower. To download Soundflower, you want to go to this link right here. So in this case, I'm going to click the first link here that says Soundflower, and I'm going to double click it once it's downloaded. It's going to open up the package right here. And once it's opened, I want to click the Soundflower package and double click that. Now, if you get this message saying that it can't open it, a workaround here is if you control click that folder and you hit open, then you'll be able to open it. And I think you guys can take it from here. All right, now once that's installed on your computer, we want to change the settings so that the computer is actually recording things that are coming out of your computer. But before we do that, let's find some sounds first. One thing that you could do is go on YouTube and type in dubstep drum samples, as I just did, or if you like a Skrillex sound, maybe you want to do a Skrillex snare sample, or how to make a dubstep kick, things like that. And you'll find lots of videos of people showing how to do it, and in those videos you'll probably find some great sounds you can just pull. So take a listen here. Okay, so that first one, watch, that one right there. That's the one that I want. I want to use that in my project. So now that I found it, let's go into Soundflower and change the settings so that we can record that. First thing you want to do is go to the top left of your computer if you're on a Mac, click on the Apple sign, and then go to System Preferences. We're going to change the sound preferences here. So click on Sound, and automatically you will see the output section. So this is what's coming out of your computer. You want the output going into Soundflower so that you can record it. All right, so if I click on the output section and I choose Soundflower 2 channel, if we go back to the YouTube video and we hit play, we're not going to hear anything. And that's because the computer is taking in all of that audio. It's not coming out of your speakers anymore. It's going into your computer, which is what we want. All right, so at this point, I really don't like to go into system preferences, and if you're changing the settings a lot, I'll just give you this quick tip. So on the bottom of the sound preferences, you have this little check mark here that says show volume in menu bar. So if you click that, and you take a look at the menu right here, you'll see that there's a sound icon. And then, say we want to change settings back to the headphones so we can hear the sounds. If you option click that little icon right there, you'll be able to change the settings very, very quickly. So there we go. I'm back to headphones on the output. So if we hit play, we can hear that sound. So now that we have that set up, let's go back and get the output to go into Soundflower so that we can pick this up in Garageband. Make sure that your volume is set all the way up so that we have the maximum quality right here. Let's go into Garageband and see if we can record some of those samples. So in Garageband, I'm going to open up an empty project. And I'm just going to make sure that the sound is working by pulling up musical typing, Command K, and playing some notes. Okay, so we are getting something registered here, but we don't have any output. We can't hear anything. Just like we did with the Mac to change the settings of what's going in and out as far as audio, we need to do the same thing here in Garageband. So if you click Garageband and go to Preferences, or better yet, hit Command comma, which is a very, very common shortcut that you definitely should know, that will pull up the preferences. So once we're in the preferences, go to Audio MIDI, and we can see the output and the input sections just like we had on the Mac. All right, so the input, we want to be recording everything that is going through Soundflower. So let's go ahead and change that, and you'll see Soundflower listed as one of the input devices. Click the 2 channel because we're only interested in the left and the right channels. And then on the output device, you might want to change it to something that you can hear. So in my case, built-in output. Now, if we play some notes in GarageBand, we'll be able to hear them through our output, which in this case is the headphones. So let's go to Command K. And there we go. Things are good. All right, now let's record the YouTube audio. First thing we want to do is create an audio track. So hit the plus button, and we're going to use an audio track. You want to make it input 1 and 2 because we want to record both the left and the right. And you might want to check this box right here that says, I want to hear my instrument as I play and record, just so you can make sure you're doing the right thing. All right, we're going to hit create. This track should let us hear the audio that is in YouTube. Soundflower is being picked up by GarageBand, and we should hear it now. So let's just hit play. Okay, and you see in GarageBand, it's registering that it's picking that up. So at this point, all we have to do is find the sample that we want. This is a 1 in my case. There we go. Okay. And once we have that all set up, all we have to do is hit record and then play, and you'll see that we'll grab that audio sample. So check it out right here. I'm going to hit record and play. Excellent. Okay, so I hit stop right there, and as you can see in our timeline, we now have some audio samples that we can use. So let's listen. All right, perfect. That is the sound that I want right there. Just that one kick. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit here. And I want to isolate this kick. I don't want anything before it or anything after. All I want is that kick. So I'm going to go as close as I can to the beginning of that sample. Maybe about there. And I'm going to select that track. With that track selected, now we can cut it right there by going into the track menu. Oh, I'm sorry, the edit menu. And split region at playhead. As you notice, there's a command here too. Command T. That's an important one. Okay, so let's just click that and get rid of everything that came before it. Perfect. So we have the beginning of the sample all good to go. Now let's cut the tail end of it. About there, have the track selected, and I'm going to hit Command T and get rid of everything else. Perfect. So now, if we zoom to a regular kind of view, we can move this sample around, and I can start off with it on bar 1. So now if we hit play on our project, we have a kick that is much better than the ones that GarageBand provides. And you can use this for your song. Now, when you guys are cutting your sample, you might want to pay attention to the very, very tail end or the beginning of the sound. Sometimes you get this clip sound, which you might not want. So take a look at this one right here. At the very end, I didn't cut it where there was complete silence. So we hear a little bit of a click. Listen here. Did you hear that? Watch. It's just that subtle clip, but you might not want that because it just clutters your mix up, and it's a bad sound to have. So if you have the sample and you click on the bottom, or you hover over the bottom, you'll see this little icon that lets you make your sample longer or shorter. I'm just going to extend it a little bit, and there we go. The click is gone. Alright guys, the last little bit of advice I'm going to give you is actually very important. We might want to save this into our personal folder of samples so that we can use this in the future. In order to do that, we want to click the loop button right there, which will allow us to export the whatever length that we have that loop selected. So I'm just going to drag this loop back and I'm going to make it as close as I can to the audio sample. So there we go. Okay, now in GarageBand, exporting works different than most other DAWs that you might work with. In this case, you want to go to Share and Export Song to Disk. Now, you might want to make a new folder for this. So if you click the little arrow button right next to the save name, we can go and change what folder it's going under. So in my case, I usually like to put my samples under Documents, and I'm going to make a new folder here called Samples. And inside Samples, I want to make another folder where it says New Folder. I'm going to click that one more time, and I'm going to call this folder Kicks. And I'm going to hit Create. Alright, so we are in the Samples. In the Kicks folder, I want this to be an AIFF, which is uncompressed, so we're getting the full quality. And I'm going to name this something that I can remember in the future. So if we go back to the YouTube video, this is free dubstep drum sample. So I might want to call it free dubstep kick 1 and hit export. Now, if we ever are doing another project and we want that kick, all you have to do is go into a Finder, go into the samples folder, kicks, and you'll see the file right there. At this point, all you have to do is drag and drop it into GarageBand, and we are good to go.